Hey guys, it's Bill Vinci and Ryan Vinci with another episode of No Time for Nonsense. I'm going solo tonight. Ryan's got the night off. He's cooking a special dinner for his girlfriend for her birthday tonight. So we're going to be missing Ryan tonight. But I am joined by a longtime friend of the family and New York Yankee scout Marc DelPiano from Auburn. Marc, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Doing great, Billy.
Good to see you, man. It's
great to be here.
It's been a long time, man. I remember going back when you guys used to come down from Auburn when you were kids, and man, we played wiffle ball in the lot. We played basketball. You know, it was fun, man. You and your brother.
Oh, it was great. Those are great memories. I used to love going to Rome. A lot of my family's there. I was born there.
Yeah.
So we were always a frequent visitor of Rome and loved coming to see you and your dad, and just had a great time growing up. Great experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, before we get into the show and hear Marc's story, I want to thank some sponsors for tonight's show. We got some great sponsors as usual. First, I want to thank Out of the Way Cafe in Utica, New York, down on Charlotte Street. I was just there today with Matt Grabsky. He's a proud sponsor of No Time for Nonsense. I don't know, we haven't got a name for it yet, but it could be called the Billy Benny. If he's listening and Matt watches, it's Eggs Benedict over Utica Greens. And it was out of this world. But go down and see Matt. He's got all kinds of great lunch specials. He's got the tap room burger. He's got the turkey bacon with spinach, grilled tomato sandwich. He's got the Little Mike carp chicken. He's got the all kinds of great omelets, huge burgers. Give him a call. Plus, he's got Italian ice, Belvedere's Italian ice, 3 flavors. Call Matt, put your order in. He's at 315-733-5060. Also want to thank Geddes Bakery in Syracuse, New York, the Pappas family. It's wedding season, so you can make sure you can go down for a free consultation, talk about your wedding cakes, and get some great ideas for him. Plus, they got tons of donuts, pies, Italian bread, even some Greek specials down there, baklava and spanakopita. Call to put your order in at 315-437-8084. Also want to thank Angelo's Pizza. Somebody that Marc might know, spending a little time, I'm sure, at Angelo's Pizza in Auburn. They got pizzas, specialty pies, calzones, wings, 12 different wing sauces, Neapolitan pizzas, and Sicilian square pizza. Matt Bartolotto down there, great guy, man. We did a show down with him. Go down, stop and see Matt, or give them a call, put your order in, and he's at 315-252-7911. He's in Auburn, New York. And our last sponsor is Poppi's Pizza in Liverpool. Sean Powers, another great guy. He's from Auburn, New York. And he's got a huge menu with appetizers, wings, pizza, calzones, pastas, burgers, subs, and fried seafood. Call Sean, give him a call, put your order in. Fantastic food down there. He's at 315-457-3334. Thank you for tonight's sponsors for the show. And guys, if you haven't, make sure you like our page at No Time for Nonsense. Give us a like, share the video. And if you have any questions for Marc, put them on the board on my page, on Bill Vinci's page, and I'll read them off to Marc, and he can give you the answers on them. So, Marc, let me ask you this, man. With baseball being on a standstill for a while, since March, what have you been doing?
We've got a lot of projects we've been doing internally, like on the Yankee system. Right now, I'm responsible for watching Korean baseball. So I've been following that on the feeds on ESPN. I've got some target lists of players that I have to evaluate. So staying busy with that. We have a constant evolution within our system of education. So there's constant growth all the time. We got a Yankees University website that we go to, and just trying to keep your skills sharp until the games begin. So I've been pretty busy, despite not traveling as much as I have in years.
Right. Yeah. So, we were talking a little bit before we got on air about the season, and, 60-game season, extra innings. You got to start with a guy on second base. It's a little different for me. I'm a huge baseball fan, and I love it, and it will be exciting to watch baseball again, but it's just something about a 60-game season that kind of – I almost want to put an asterisk by it. Whoever wins – now, what if a team like Baltimore or Detroit get off to a hot start? They're 20-10, 30 games left. They got a shot to make the playoffs. Well,
it's going to be different. I mean, if you're a traditionalist, this is going to sting a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think baseball being played is going to be a positive and so many, just a little bit of uplifting for the spirits of everybody in the country.
Sure.
I think that has a chance to play in a positive light. And then we'll just see how it unfolds. I do think we'll be back to some regular baseball business next year. This year is just going to be an abbreviated season, and everybody's just going to have to get used to it. I think it's going to be different for those that play it, those that work in it, and the fans that view it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back, Mark. Let's start from the beginning. Growing up, well, you were born in Rome, New York, grew up in Auburn. Tell us a little bit about your growing up in Auburn.
Well, it's a great city to grow up in. I mean, we had tremendous youth sports, great baseball feeder programs. Our little league had, we were at full capacity with 16 teams, 3 divisions. We went and played high school, regular Babe Ruth, then senior Babe Ruth in our high school program. And as a group, all of us kind of grew up together from youth sports through high school. Fortunate enough to win a New York State championship, baseball championship, my senior year, which is really exciting. We won that in Little Falls. But growing up in Auburn, I thought the community was excellent, supported all youth sports, and we had really nice resources. We had a minor league stadium that was our home baseball field.
Yeah.
I just thought the coaches we had growing up, great support system from not only your coaches, but my parents. It just allowed us to do whatever we wanted to do, as far as achieving what we wanted to sports-wise.
Yeah.
Great place to grow up.
Yeah. And now in high school, what did you play in high school? Obviously baseball. Did you play any other sports?
I played baseball and basketball. Those are the 2 sports that I focused on primarily. I mean, I loved them both at the time. Baseball was something that I just had in my blood from the time I was, really started walking.
Yep.
And I knew I always wanted to pursue that. And I just thought that, this environment I grew up in, this community, it gave me an opportunity to do that. I lived at the minor league ballpark as a young kid. So I really got exposed to professional baseball at a young age. And it was just something I always aspired to be. And seeing guys that we had locally go out and play college baseball and eventually pro ball, it really was inspirational. Guys like Steve Lombardozzi, Chris Lombardozzi, guys like that came out of here. And then in later years after myself, Bobby Cabasser, who I played with, TJ Gamba, all of us got a chance to play professionally. But it all was a result of the foundation that we had here and the people in this community.
Yeah. Now you went to community college after high school for a little bit. Then you transferred over to Tennessee and played a little ball.
Yeah, I did. I played at Broward Community College in Fort Lauderdale, which to me was an extreme advantage coming from a cold weather climate. Mm-hmm. When we got there in the fall, I think we played 50 games in the fall and close to 70 in the spring.
Wow.
So, I had 120 games. And then during the time when we were done with fall season, played baseball at this stadium, that Bobby Maduro Stadium in Miami, which was a Latin league. So we got to play even more games. So I really got used to playing every day against good competition. Yeah. And your skills really took off. Fortunate enough from there to go to Tennessee. Had a nice experience in the Southeastern Conference. Mm-hmm. Played against a lot of great players. Played against Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas, Greg Olson, Albert Bell. It's a lot of guys. It was really a cool league. And then fortunate to sign with the Indians after that. Yeah. And after that, I got a chance to sign with the Cleveland Indians, and I played in their organization in Houston. And when I got released from Houston, I've been in this line of work ever since. A lot of different jobs I've had in Major League Baseball, and I've enjoyed every one of them.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. How was it when you signed with Cleveland? This is something you grew up playing your whole life. Baseball was in your blood. You were passionate about the game. So when you got the sign with Cleveland, what was that like?
It was a thrill. It was really surreal. I could remember when my contract was offered to me and I signed it. I remember going to a mini camp, the first mini camp I had, and going to my locker and putting back then they had the Major League hand-me-down uniforms. And I can remember putting that on, looking down at it going, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And they're going to pay you every 2 weeks to do this, pinch me. Am I dreaming? Right. It was really that kind of a moment for me. Something you worked your whole life doing. Now all of a sudden you get to chase your dream to be a big leaguer while you're getting paid. It was the best time of my life.
Yeah.
Can't remember any time better.
Yeah. How was the minor league experience? I think a lot of people, you know, a lot of fans that don't know the game, but how was that traveling and stuff with games and going bus to bus to cities, and talk a little bit about that?
You know, when you're younger, you think it's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting on a bus ride for 10 hours to go to a city to play. You're going to unload. You're going to go to some dive hotel with a roommate that may or may not be American.
Right.
Could be Latin. He could be Venezuelan. He could be Dominican. And you're going to go and you're going to be in these towns,
right,
playing ball, and then going out and eating with your teammates every night. To me, it was amazing.
Yeah.
As I got older, that kind of travel wears on you.
Sure.
But back then, you don't think anything of it. 10 hours, check into a hotel, grab a few hours sleep, and then let's strap it on. You're going to play a ball game that night.
Yeah.
Nothing better that I ever experienced.
I was going to say, for like the veterans who are like in minor league baseball for 10, 12 years, I'm sure it's got to take a toll on their body. And you know, a lot of them have families and stuff, and they're on the road a lot. And you know, it's a little different from the majors. So who are some of the guys you played with in the Cleveland, Houston organization? Some of the big
guys that you would know. I played with Brian Giles, who's a teammate of mine. Jesse Levis, the next major league catcher.
Mm-hmm.
James Mouton, Chris Hatcher, Ray Montgomery, Robert Person. Not household names, but these guys were good. I mean, you saw something in them at a young age that they had some tools and ability to do some things. So it was fun to watch those guys get to the big leagues, especially Giles. He was a great player.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. We got Coach Marchone. You look very professional with those glasses. Mark, how does the Yankees organization hold up against the other organizations that you have seen and been a part of? Is it what the players that get to wear pinstripes say as it is?
It is. It's very special. It's a very special work environment when you walk into the stadium and you have your meetings and you go into these conference rooms and you just see the history. And I think because they have great ownership, the Steinbrenners are all about one thing and winning, that it really transcends throughout the organization. You're going there for one purpose, and that's to win a world championship. And what you contribute is rewarded. And I think they reward work ethic, productivity, all the things you would hope a great organization would do. They do it. So I think it's a tremendous place to work. I like the pressure. Mm-hmm. I like the pressure of having to perform and being good. I like the way they treat us professionally, and they give us all the resources we could ever want to do our jobs. So it ranks right at the top of any organization I've worked for sure.
That's awesome. Thanks, Coach. Thanks for the question. Now, Mark, you went back and you received your bachelor degree from Cortland.
I did. It was something that I was, you know, I promised my parents I'd go back and finish. I did it reluctantly at first, but then when I completed it, I was happy. I had that under my belt and got that education out of the way. So it was good. It's a good experience. I went there, you know, part-time to finish up. It wasn't nearly the experience it was at University of Tennessee, playing and going to school because I was just a student. But nonetheless, it was a good place to finish my degree, and I met some good people along the way.
Yeah. Cortland's a cool little city too.
It is. It's a nice little college town.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you took your first job with the Texas organization?
I did. I was a scout and a minor league coach.
Okay.
And I would go and I would do an area in the Northeast, and then in the summer go coach in the Penn League, and then in the winter go around and do winter league coverages in different countries: Puerto Rico, Dominican, Venezuela. So I was getting a whole. It was a learning lesson in baseball operations at the time.
Yeah.
So it was. I kind of got a scope of it all, which was really eye-opening and educational.
Yeah, I was going to say, how was it going to different countries and watching these guys play?
You know, at first it's a little intimidating because you don't know the language and you're in these countries and you need an interpreter, but it's baseball. So once you get the baseball language down, and the bottom line is you're just trying to evaluate them, where they would fit in your organization, and you're always trying to bring upgrades into the organization. So to me, it's a universal language. It's not that hard once you get a cycle of it under your belt. But going to different countries there's a lot of difference in the Dominican, to Venezuela, to Colombia, to Panama, to they're all different. So you've got to learn their idiosyncrasies. You got to learn, body types and things that just are so different in every country.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they as passionate in these other countries as they are here in the U.S.?
I've been to every country that plays baseball, and yeah, they're very passionate. I would say the Japanese and the Latin American population in baseball, they have a tremendous passion for our game. They love it. You know, they love every bit of it.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. Got another question from Coach Marchone. Have you adapted to the world of baseball and then use all of the data-driven metrics?
I do. I mean, Coach, I do. I try to use all forms of information to make the best possible decisions. I still think a lot of these guys have to pass the eye test. You know, there's an innate level of instinct that comes into play when you're trying to make a decision on a player. But I think all forms of information, analytics, makeup, ability on off the field, the quality of the human, what kind of teammate they are, I think all of it's part of the equation. You can't just use one parameter. You got to use them all if you want to make a real good, accurate decision. Because it's no fun when you're making a $10 million mistake and you won't last long in the industry.
Right. Yeah. There is a lot of pressure on you. I mean, people think you're out there just scouting and if the kid bombs out and he doesn't, but there's a lot of pressure, especially when these organizations are paying that kind of money.
Right. You have the latitude to make a mistake.
Sure.
Or two, but you can't make 4 or 5 or 6.
Right. Now, after Texas, where did you head to next?
From Texas, I went to Montreal. It was a great learning experience because I got a chance to do everything as far as baseball operations. Got exposed to a lot of amateur scouting, both domestically and internationally. Was exposed to levels of evaluation from the major leagues to all the way down to rookie ball. They exposed me to a lot. We had small staffs, and we all had to do a lot of work. So you really got a chance to hone your craft, Yeah. It was a great environment to work. I loved it.
I was going to say, Mark, Montreal always had one of the best minor league systems in baseball. It's just when these guys got bigger, they couldn't afford to keep them. I mean, if you look at Montreal teams back in the 80s and stuff, the guys that came up, the line of the Shields, Marquise Grissom, Randy Johnson. I mean, there's so many great players that came up, but being a small market, they couldn't afford to pay these guys right after that.
And they were drawing $3 million. When Charles Brompton, the man that owned Seagram's, when he owned that club, that was a first-rate, first-class operation. They drew $3 million. He spent money all the way up and down the food chain in baseball. When he sold it, the purse strings got a lot tighter. The operations were similar, but they didn't have an ability to make any kind of mistakes.
Yeah.
Or take many chances.
Right. Now, were you there when Archie was there?
I was not there when Archie was there. I got there right after.
Right after, okay. We got another question from a friend of mine, Bob Taylor. When will Clint Frazier be an everyday player, and did you ever scout Dustin Fowler?
I have not scouted Dustin Fowler. Frazier will probably be an everyday player soon. I mean, he's got all the ability to be one. He can hit. He's got power. The defense is improving. He certainly has the physical attributes to stay on the field. Just a question of him staying healthy and getting this opportunity that is coming his way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, after Montreal, where did you go?
Well, from Montreal, after that, I mean, my career span, I went from Montreal, I went to Boston, or to the Marlins, because the ownership group from the Marlins bought the Expos.
Yep.
I was with that ownership group for 10 years. Then I went to the Red Sox, from the Red Sox to the Pirates, and from the Pirates back to the Miami Marlins in a vice president role, and then most recently to the Yankees. When I was on a pretty lengthy contract with the new group with the Marlins, and then when the Jeter ownership group took over, they brought their own people with me. With them, and then I went over with cash to the Yankees. But it's been a great experience.
Oh, absolutely. I had to smile. I just saw a message come up on the board, and as soon as I saw it, I started laughing. You might know this guy, Marc DelPiano.
Yeah, I know him a little bit.
How does Mark feel? Oh, what a beauty. How does Mark feel about his brother being more successful than him?
I'm proud of him. I love the fact that he's successful. I think it's great. He's great at his job. we both have unique situations.
Right.
Being from upstate New York, I mean, I've been in Major League Baseball 30 years. He's been a talent agent in Hollywood for, 25 plus years. Now he is part owner of a business.
Yeah.
So it's, these are odd jobs that you don't really go to school for.
Right.
So it's, it's not anything you can study for. We just were blessed to have parents that just allowed us the opportunity to chase our dreams.
Yeah.
They didn't pigeonhole us into being, what the society says you should be, but rather, hey, follow your dreams, follow what you love to do. Success will come, money will come. So yeah, I'm happy he's successful. I love it.
I know, Matt. I was telling your brother. I said we got to get you on the show. We'll have to talk after. We want to hear your story, also, man. So thanks for tuning in tonight, and it'll be good to look forward to talking to you. So I want to ask you, Mark, what is the hardest thing about scouting? I mean, what's the hardest part of that job?
I think they vary depending on what you're scouting. If you're scouting amateur players, you really have to have a crystal ball as far as taking a high school kid and saying, we take this guy, he's going to be a Major League All-Star, a frontline player, top of the rotation starter, because so much has to happen. Like, when you're 18 in high school and you sign, now you got a 5 or 6 year climb to the big leagues.
Right.
That crystal ball is difficult for a lot of guys to forecast. That's probably the hardest aspect of scouting. And then the 16, 17-year-old Latin American player. How are they going to respond when they get to the United States? Yeah. The cultural difference, the language barrier. If they got money, now all of a sudden they have money. How does that affect their ability to perform? So there's a lot of it. Every aspect of scouting is difficult, but I think those two present the biggest challenges.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much work involved. Like you said, you're looking at an 18, 17-year-old kid, and you're kind of projecting, can I see him gradually getting better each year and get to that next level, compared to, like, you see a kid who's, in college and stuff. Because there is a big difference. I mean, a couple of years make a huge difference, right? In that?
Oh, my God. Think about what we were like mentally at 17.
Right.
Or 18.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, if you're a bonus baby, somebody hands you $3 million. Now flip that and think about the Latin player who is at a second or third grade education level.
Yeah.
Somebody gives them $1 million. And now all of a sudden they got to come all the way to the United States, where there's a cultural difference, where there's a language barrier. They don't know how to order food. And how are they going to survive and run that gauntlet to get to the big leagues? Right. It's different.
It is
difficult.
Yeah. I want to ask you too. Now, I'm a huge Astros fan. Been an Astros fan for 40 years, and Houston seems to really bring in a lot of those Dominican players and stuff. And do they send? I'm trying to figure out how this, because they have a lot of players from other countries. Do they send certain scouts just down there to scout these guys? I mean, because
every club has full scouting departments that scour Latin America. You got a full-time scout in Venezuela, 2 in the Dominican, a full-time scout or 2 in Colombia, a full-time scout in Panama, and then you have someone that supervises all of them. So when they find the better players, the supervisor goes in, signs off on it, allocates the dollars, and now here you go. Now they become part of your organization. Once they become 16 years old, and after July 2nd, now you have an opportunity to sign them.
Now, a question I definitely got to bring up. I mean, obviously, with last year's debacle with Houston stuff, what do you think about that whole situation?
I think it's always disappointing. Whenever the game isn't being played at the purest level, whenever there's something that's going to stain it or create some type of controversy that shouldn't have been. I think an unfortunate situation for our game, more or less. But when you have the technology in place that every club has, when you have so much latitude to use this technology, and then some choose to use it one way versus the right way, now it's just going to force more rules upon us. Thought the whole thing was disappointing, personally.
Yeah, because I think the players are about as talented as you get in baseball. To go to that next level, I don't think they need to cheat to have that extra. Right?
No, I mean, I'm certainly not the commissioner, but why don't we just take all the technology out of the dugout, And when it's time to sit at 7 o'clock, let's just play ball. And let's see who's got the best, at the end of the game, let's see who's the best. That's what I hope we get to.
I've been saying that ever since technology. I'm like, so a new pitcher comes in the game, and then I see these guys going to their iPad, they're watching. So I'm going, you should know this stuff before you're going up to bat. You should know these pitchers, right? I mean, that's why batting coaches, pitching coaches, because they tell you, this guy throws junk, he throws fast, you don't need to go and look at some. That's why, to me, it just seems like you shouldn't have any electronics in the dugout. You got coaches there for that stuff.
And you've already had advanced scout preparation leading up to those series, to where you know who's hot, who's not, where their hot zones or cold zones. You know what guys' strengths and weaknesses are. So to me, I just think let's get back to the purest we can of the game and just play the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody wins then.
Yeah, I know. That's the one thing about going into the season. I was like, man, every city they go to, it's just going to be brutal, especially New York. I mean, obviously. Oh, yeah. New York fans aren't happy.
Well, they started it. You saw it in spring training this year. When spring training started in the end of February, March, you saw the noise that was created in the Astros spring training site, and it was, the fans weren't happy.
Yeah. It's crazy. So let's ask you a couple fun questions. Oh, we got another question from Coach. What's your take on the way that travel baseball has impacted the overall quality of the game, and does it make scouting easier or more difficult to assess of young players' talent?
It's a great question. I think travel baseball has become a big skills evaluation deal, where it's more, how skilled are you, how fast can you throw it, how far can you hit it. And really, how you play the game is no longer a factor. And that, to me, travel baseball is, in my opinion, has watered down the fabric of our game. Because if you have money, you can play, and if you don't have money, unfortunately, you can't participate. So, are the better athletes, are the better players really participating in travel ball, or is it just the affluent families that can afford these, this stuff? You and I were blessed. What was great about baseball and great about youth sports growing up, they were free.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now I know people that pay $10,000 a year for travel baseball. Wow. Between the travel, the cost, the extra lessons, the use of the indoor facilities. Yep. There's people that invest significant dollars for that. So, I mean, we got to get back to free baseball if we want to get back to real baseball, in my opinion. Yeah. Otherwise, it just becomes a skills competition.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Do you think kids are playing too much baseball now? Because there's baseball year-round now. In the Northeast, obviously New York, we played, when we played Little League. We didn't have fall ball. We didn't have the indoor baseball back then. But some of these kids are playing year-round. Do you think that's just too much for their body?
I do. I think it's good to play all sports. Let your body grow. Let your body rest. I mean, to be sports specific at a very young age, a lot of these great athletes, a lot of these great major leaguers, they played 3 sports. Andrew McCutchen was a football, basketball, baseball player. Most of your great baseball players are multi-sport athletes. Right. You certainly can't take a kid that's a pitcher and have him throw 12 months a year while he's still growing. Right. While he's still maturing physically. You'll never be able to be healthy by the time it matters. There's some good in travel baseball, but I think it's become a moneymaker.
Yeah.
For the most part, more than teaching the game. Like I know Coach Michonne now. When he was coaching Adrian Post, practice 7 days a week. They lasted 2 or 3 hours. The fundamentals were, the fundamentals mattered. Pre-game preparation, the mental aspect was taught. I don't know how much travel baseball is getting into that, or they're providing that service. But that's the type of service that we had growing up. And, and I know Coach Michonne personally, and I know that's the type of program he ran. If travel baseball is like that, I'm all in. I just don't see it being that.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're with New York Yankees scout Marc DelPiano. If you got any questions for him, message him on the board. We got another question here from Danny Miletto. What player did he scout that perhaps he didn't think would make it, ended up being a star? I remember Stick Michael told he was completely wrong about Robinson Cano.
Wow, that's a great question. And if I look back, God, I had a couple of these guys, but the one guy I look back most recently that I think I made a mistake on was Pete Alonso. When I saw Pete Alonso in the minor leagues, he's kind of a lumbering guy, didn't catch up to good velocity, was a well below average defender, like didn't know where you could hide him defensively. And that was at a young, when he was entry level of professional baseball. And all of a sudden, when he got to AAA, you went, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Figured it out. But he had tremendous makeup. His work ethic was second to none. He shrunk his holes offensively, and he just, he had the makeup to improve defensively. So that was one of my more recent mistakes. And I learned a lesson from that. You can't get fooled by body types. You can't get fooled by lack of lower level production when they have the physical attributes they can succeed. Got to hang with them, because the guy could hit a ball as far as anybody in the world.
Yeah. And he seems just like a great, he does remind me a lot of David Wright.
Yeah.
He seems similar. They're very outgoing with the fans. They play the game hard. He's got his bat. He's so quick getting through that zone with his bat.
And he's very strong. I mean, he's a physical, like when you get up on him, this guy's a country strong, physically gifted man. You don't see that necessarily from TV, but, you're right. He can get the bat through the zone. He does a lot of things well. He's a leader, and he plays hard.
Yeah, he does. And he's exciting to watch. And for the Mets, boy, I'll tell you, if there's a team, I know it's the other side of New York for you guys, but there's a team, if they get off to a hot start with that pitching staff, it could be a scary team. Obviously the Yankees.
No, they're good.
They're good.
They're good. And now that they got the DH all year, now Cespedes plays every game, and that's going to be a factor too.
Right. And they need him to stay healthy too. So it could be an exciting short season in New York for everybody.
No doubt.
The New York Post and Daily News will be awful busy for 60 days.
They sure will.
So Mark, I want to ask you, with all the cities you've been to and traveling, which probably your favorite city?
My favorite major league city, I love Boston. I just like the history of it. I like the proximity of the ballpark. I can walk and experience a lot, while I'm in the city doing my work. I used to love going to Seattle, another great city. If you stay down by the water, you walk right to Safeco, and you get everything you want there, from restaurants to just to the ocean scenery. It's great. There's a lot of great cities. Those are two of my favorites. I enjoy them. Really like going back to Boston a lot.
I know. I was going to say, when we went to Boston to watch game, you get out of your car and you could smell the hot dogs. You could smell the sausage down the street and walk into the park. You got all the restaurants and bars and everything. And it's just a cool city baseball-wise. Everything's right there, right around the park. It's
great.
Cool.
It's just a great ballpark. And, the fans are very much like New York, and, they're rabid about it. And, it's a generational thing. Those tickets are willed from family member to family member, and it's a tough ticket to get.
Yeah. Do you ever think they would knock down Fenway and rebuild to make it bigger?
There was talks about that years ago, but they have renovated it so it's so pristine now. I don't think that's ever going to come back into play, because they've made this very modern and kept that old aesthetic charm. But the concessions are modern, the suites are modern. The press box, the clubhouse is, it's gorgeous. So they've been able to add all the modern amenities, but keep that old feel look. I think they're going to keep it status quo. Sort of like what they did in Chicago with the Cubs. They've made every modern amenity, spectacular, but just kept that old charm.
Yeah, I was going to say Wrigley. I can't see. I like Fenway and Wrigley just seem, to be even honest, Yankee Stadium, when we used to go as kids, even going to the new park, I seem to still like the old park better. And I know it's brand new and everything, but something about that old stadium, just knowing the guys that played there, I think in the history, and the ghosts of Babe Ruth and all these guys who played there, just something about an old stadium. And I know people say, you're nuts. This stadium's absolutely beautiful, but I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of nostalgic when it comes to stuff like that, like Wrigley and Fenway. I can't see, another Wrigley or Fenway being built and going in and feeling those same feelings you get. growing up.
I agree.
So now talking about food, when you were starting to mention food, obviously our show that we do, Empire Plays, we travel all over New York State filming at family-owned restaurants, and we look for the best food around. What is probably your favorite city to eat in for what's got some of the best restaurants?
Well, New York probably one, and then Boston, in the north end of Boston is as good as it gets. But I've got restaurants like all over the country that are some of my favorites that I try to hit. I don't eat out every day, but usually on Sundays when I travel, I try to make it a nice night, go to my day game, and then at night have a nice normal meal. So I try to find spots all over the country, and I've got some good places.
Yeah, I was going to say probably down in Miami too, right? Probably get some.
Miami's got good places. Fort Lauderdale. It all depends what you want. Like Miami's got great Cuban cuisine.
Yeah.
That's as good as it gets in the country. I like New York. I like. Yeah, I mean they got everything. New York's the best though. For me, the city has everything.
Yeah, that's true. Now, we were talking a little bit before, married, 3 kids, 3 grown kids now and stuff. And, how hard has it been when you were on the road a lot, when you were doing more traveling with the family back home?
It's tough. I was on the road probably 200 days a year for most of my career. And my wife's a strong woman. She's able to do a lot. It's very hard if you don't have that support that I've had. And, we always made a pact, or she made the pact, we did it together. But she says, look, you take care of the outside, I take care of the in. And that's kind of the way it's worked.
Yeah.
I've been able to just focus on the job. She takes care of everything else. And, we're blessed. We've got a nice life and certainly no complaints. I'm happy.
Yeah. Now, did any of the kids play sports in school?
Youngest Jimmy played. He played football and baseball at Auburn High. The girls didn't play sports, but he played baseball and football at Auburn High. Played baseball at Nova Southeastern University, a Division II school in Fort Lauderdale. He graduates in the fall, this year in the fall, and then he's going to go in. He wants to go into special ops.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
That's what he wants to do. So he's going to go do that and head off to officer training school. So that's what he's doing after he graduates.
That's got to be pretty exciting for him, though.
He's excited about it. Whatever they want to do, we support.
Yeah.
So
that's how we grew up. That's how we were raised. They your parents kind of let you do what you want. They impress you. I mean, I even played baseball with my dad. He just asked, sign-ups this year. You going to sign up? Yeah, I'll sign up. If I didn't, I didn't. He goes, what else are you going to do? I said, I'll probably play basketball or football. And he just kind of let you do what you wanted to do, never pushed.
Right.
Which is good. And it's kind
of. We were very, very blessed in that way, both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, another little thing, my dad is his godson. So he spent a lot of time, and Mark showed me a great picture he had in his office with Coach Ron Frazier down in Miami. So that was pretty awesome. I got the same picture hanging on my wall there. So that's pretty cool. The only one to ask you, Mark, what does Marc DelPiano do in his spare time? When you have spare time, what do you like to do?
You know what I love to do? I really enjoy coaching kids. I come back in the fall when the season's over. We've got a junior college here, Utica Community College in Auburn. I love going on the field and working with the guys. I really enjoy it. I enjoy giving back. The coach and I were teammates in the past, TJ Gamba, who also played professional baseball. And I just enjoy getting out there for a couple months in the fall and just, answering questions and just helping kids achieve their dreams. I spent a lot of time kind of grinding, not selfishly, but just trying to get to where I wanted to be professionally. And now I'm at the point where I can give back, and I love to do it. Now I'm equipped where I've got the time. I've made my money. I just want to give back because the game's given me everything in the world that I could possibly want. And, when I get done doing that, at the end of the baseball season, I come here and I do that. It's really rewarding.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
That's awesome. We got another question from Tino. Mark, what are some of the qualities you look for in players?
Well, what I'm doing right now is pro scouting. And the first quality is, are they going to be a fit for the Yankees? Are they an upgrade for our roster? And to me, the qualities I look for are, first and foremost, are they leaders? Or do they have good makeup when they get into our clubhouse? Are they going to be quality teammates, good citizens? Are these guys going to be part of the solution or part of the problem? Aside from that, the physical abilities. Can they hit? Can they pitch? Can they execute on the field? But there's so much about making sure you're bringing in quality humans into the clubhouse that you don't want to disrupt that atmosphere down there, because that's only going to hurt wins and losses.
Yeah. I want to ask you something. A lot of people always wonder this. We watch a lot of these sports movies and stuff, and you see the scouts and the coaches go into the families' houses to talk with the parents and kind of get the background on them. Do you do any of that too?
I've done that early in my career. I don't necessarily now, because I'm doing it through pro players. I work player acquisition and trades. But when I did amateur scouting, I used to have to go into families' homes, meet with coaches and guidance counselors, and try to find out what we're buying.
Yeah.
Because you're drafting these players, you're going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. You got to have an answer to your boss of what type of humans coming into the system. Yeah.
I was going to say that's got to be. I can imagine some of the houses you go into. It's you're talking a wide variety of kids and families and backgrounds and stuff. So you must have seen it all when you started out.
All of it, yeah. Especially if you talk about worldwide stuff that I've done. You go into a house in the Dominican with a dirt floor, and you're not running water, and farm animals running around. It's different. You got to hone in on, hey, does this guy have a structure, a family unit in place? Does he have a male figure in his life? You got to assess a lot of things to figure out how hard that journey is going to be for him to climb to get to the big leagues. And the same here in the U.S. When you draft a kid, does this kid have a good foundation, a strong family unit? Does this kid have mental toughness? Is he has he been coddled, or has he been given? You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, you got to assess everything.
Now,
because the strong survive this thing, Billy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, another thing is, too, when you're scouting for New York compared to scouting for Montreal or a smaller city, you kind of look at, you think this kid can play in New York with these type of fans, or, a place like Colorado or LA where it's a little more laid back? Do you kind of look for that to kind of see?
Oh, yeah. You've got to factor in, can they handle the expectations in the New York environment? Can they handle the media expectation?
Right.
Okay. And they're going to can they handle ownership expectation? Where I did some of my best work was actually in Pittsburgh, because I would try to buy low on a guy that went to a big market and failed. Bring him back to a small market, and his career gets resurrected. Happened with Mark Melanson. Happened with Jason Grilli. It happened with A.J. Burnett. I remember when I recommended A.J. Burnett, Russell Martin. Those guys, they weren't great in those big environments, those big market environments.
Right.
But when they got drawn back into a smaller environment and the expectations and the bar was a little lower, they flourished. You know what I mean? So you've got to factor that in, especially here in New York.
Right. And it's happened with major leaguers, guys who played in the majors 10 years. Now they get traded to New York and they just don't perform, or they just can't. You see it every year. There's always somebody who just struggles. They start off to a slow start. The fans are on. The newspapers are all over them. And some people, like you said, even who played in the majors for a certain amount of years, just struggle with that. So you're looking at, at an early age.
You're looking at them early, and then you're trying to follow their career path to see which one can fit there, because it's really an important factor.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So we got Danny M said DJ LeMahieu was the best pickup in Major League Baseball last year.
I agree. Great player. Can play defense, versatile, can hit a fastball, can manage in a bat, can hit in pressure situations, and the ultimate teammate. He kind of checks every box. He was a great kid. Cash did a heck of a job on bringing him into the Yankees organization, and he's a championship player.
Yeah. What's crazy is they had so many injuries last year, but it seemed like every guy who came into the game or they called up just seemed to perform. It was
they did. It was amazing, wasn't it?
It was crazy. Yeah.
Incredible run.
Yeah.
And it was like next man up.
Exactly. exactly. And I think you get into the flow where the team's winning, they're playing good. So now you got, you're a little more. You got a good feeling going up. You're like, oh, this team's hot. They're playing good. You get a little more confidence going in. And like you said, every time they call the guy up, they'd go on a tear. And I'm like, it's just unbelievable. It was crazy.
It's true. It was an overrun.
We got a question from Bob Taylor. Were you involved with the Sonny Gray trade?
I was not. What
do you think of him, Sonny Gray?
Again, I think that market expectation, it might have been a little bit overwhelming for him.
Yeah.
I think you put him back in the right market, you'll see him flourish because he's got weapons. He's got tough. He's got level of toughness. And New York's not for everybody.
Yeah. I thought he was a great pitcher at Oakland, and when the Yanks got him, I said, "Wow, that's going to be a heck of a fit." But it just didn't seem like he kind of fit that New York.
Right. Randy Johnson didn't do it. It's not for everybody.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And he's in Cooperstown.
I know. I got to see Randy when he was in Cooperstown. It's funny. I was driving down Main Street, and I saw a ton of people standing in front of this store. It was Mickey Mantle's store. And all of a sudden, I see all these people crowd around, and I said, what's everybody standing in front of this thing? I see Randy Johnson taking a picture with his arms outspread around everybody. He was gigantic. It was amazing how wide his arms went out around everybody. And
I know.
Right in front of the store. That was pretty cool to see. Now, do you get a chance to come up to Cooperstown much?
I try to make it up. I try to make it up every year. My wife and I always take a trip in the fall. I love it. I love going up there. It's a remarkable town. I love that place.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite city to go to. And I go up every Hall of Fame weekend. I go from usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometimes Friday. I'm a big autograph seeker. I did it more when I was a little bit younger, but I just walk the streets and I run into people that I would know because I could, like last year, I was just walking down the street. Here comes a guy with a Detroit Tigers hat on. And I didn't recognize him at first. And then when I realized he walked by, he goes, "How you doing?" I go, "How you doing?" It was Bob Costas. Walked right by me. Just like nothing. But you run into some players and former players, especially for the guys in town, which was pretty cool. When Trevor Hoffman got inducted, I actually got to meet him, and I said, "Hey," I heard you had a good dinner at the Sinfracco's house. And he kind of looked at me like, "How'd you know that?" I said, I grew up with Archie and played baseball, and I heard that you were at his parents' house for dinner." And he was shocked, and he was kind of surprised, which he
did. He went to some Fracos in Rome?
He did. He was in town for that. He must have been earlier in the week. Obviously, once you get to the weekend, they got stuff planned for you. But he must have been there midweek. He must have came up, and he went to the house for dinner, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's great. That's a great story.
Now he's got Larry Walker, who's another good friend of his. So we have to wait till next year for that. But we got another question from Danny. Gio or Andrew Hart at third this year?
I'd probably say it's Gio. I thought he won the job last year. But again, I'm not writing out the lineup. That's all on Aaron Boone, so he can have that responsibility. But I thought Gio earned the right to it.
Yeah. There's a guy we were just talking about who stepped up, and you just said he's going to die out. There's no way he could stay this hot the whole year. And he did.
He did.
And
yeah,
you feel bad
he had a pretty special year.
And you feel bad for Andrew Hart because I said this guy's going to be a star for a while, man. And the thing I like about Andrew Hart is he just kind of was a quiet kid. He just kind of did his job. Nothing spectacular, but he hit the heck out of the ball. He played great defense. So, I know sometimes you say it's a bad, it's a good problem to have, but it's a lot of talent sitting at third or having one of those guys on the bench. Unless you could in.
It's true.
So, I wanted to ask you, Mark, who are some of the most influential people, coaches, people in general, while you were growing up?
First and foremost, my father had the biggest impact on me. I think from just a baseball standpoint, teaching me to be a man standpoint, there's no one that takes second to him. He's the first primary guy. From a baseball standpoint, I had influences along the way. My high school coach was impactful, Joe Mushak. I had a great junior college coach, Jim Gabella. My college coaches at Tennessee were great. Mark Connor, an ex-Yankee pitching coach. Freddie Gonzalez, the ex-manager of the Braves. He was an assistant coach. And Mike Barnett, the hitting coach now for the Indians, had a heck of a staff there. Those guys taught me a lot, And then, I was one of those guys, always wanted to learn. I always had, I always loved the work. I was never afraid of it. And those guys took a lot of their time to help me along the way. And I'm grateful to all of them. But nobody takes this. My dad was the ultimate as far as teaching me what I needed to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, what a heck of a coaching staff at Tennessee. I didn't realize those guys were all there.
Yeah, they were all good. It was a great staff.
Wow.
It was a great staff.
Now, were you there when Tommy Myslinski was there?
I was there with Mize. Oh, yeah. I know Mize well.
Yeah.
Mize is great. Yeah, I know Mize well, yeah. I took him on his recruiting trip there. I was already there. I was in baseball practice. Okay. I got called into the football office, and Johnny Majors asked me if I could take him out on his recruiting trip. It was pretty neat. We had a lot of fun. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, Mize is a great guy.
Yeah, he's still doing good things in the NFL. Boy,
I saw him when I was over with the Marlins running the farm system there. The Jacksonville AA team of the Marlins is right across the street from the Jaguars. So I went over there and I went over there and visited with Mize, and he came to a ball game. He's great.
Yeah,
about half the size he was when he played at Tennessee. I'll tell you that.
I know.
The first time I hadn't seen him in about 10 years, and I go, well, "Where's the rest of you?"
Yeah, I know.
But he's in great shape, though.
Yeah, I know. He's doing great things down in Jacksonville. So we are just about finishing up here with Marc DelPiano, New York Yankees scout. But we got one more segment of the show, which is kind of a tough segment. Mark's going to be entering the penalty box. And I know it's not a baseball term, but you will enter the penalty box. I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and then you're going to give me each one of them. Sound good? All right.
Perfect.
Favorite meal?
Ooh, my favorite meal. It's probably chicken cutlets.
Chicken cutlet. Just straight, plain chicken cutlets.
Chicken cutlets, my favorite. It's my go-to. My wife's mastered it.
Has she? See, I love that. Chicken cutlet with some long hots on Italian bread.
That's perfect.
Yeah. All right, favorite band or musician?
Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band. I've been my favorite for years, since the 80s. I love it. Love the energy. Concerts, as good as it gets. I've seen them a bunch. It's fun to watch.
I asked you a bunch of times. You must see, especially traveling to some of the cities you worked at, you must have had, an opportunity to see some great concerts in town at some of these stadiums.
I did when I was in college, because they had always come into the Thompson Bowling Arena, and we would, as athletes, we'd sneak in. I probably saw 10 or 15 of them in college. I don't go to as many now because I don't have the free time. In the off season, I don't like to travel as much anymore.
Yeah.
As I used to. I just like to enjoy the house.
Yeah, I hear you. So what's your greatest achievement in baseball, being a scout? What would you say?
Probably being in baseball and being a front office member of the 2003 Marlins winning the World Series, the smallest payroll, being in the Yankees on the highest payroll. That was a pretty crowning moment, because I had such involvement with that roster. I had promoted Miguel Cabrera. I had recommended Dontrell Willis. I had gotten Carl Pavano, who won our 17 or 18 games in a deal there. So I felt like the contribution was significant, and being just a part of that was really incredible. Probably the best thing that happened in baseball so far.
Yeah, that was a great run. Talk about an exciting season for a team like
it really was.
But they had, when you look at their team now, when you go back and you look at the players they had, you go, wow, they had a stacked team.
Oh, it was a great team. He had Derek Lee at first, Castillo at second, Gonzalez at short, Mikey Lowell at third, Pudge behind the plate, Encarnacion, Cabrera, and Juan Pierre. And then the 5 guys in the rotation, Beckett, Brad Penny, Dontrell Willis, A.J. Burnett, Carl Pavano's your 5th starter. You're running out some power.
Yeah,
that was a special team. And the manager, there were just special relationships. that when I was back with the Marlins as Miami Marlin and those guys who come into town, you always had that connection with them as being part of that. And it was really, really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So the next question is, what will Marc DelPiano be doing in 10 years? What do you forecast in 10 years?
I'm going to be in the game still in some capacity. I'll either continue to do what I'm doing now or, maybe get another upper level job, if the position arises or the need arises, but I'll be in baseball. I enjoy it. I love it. I know one thing, since this pandemic started, I've realized one thing. I am not ready to retire. I miss my craft, and I miss everything that I've had, a pleasure doing for 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question. This is one of my favorites. I like to get the answer on this one. If you could sit down and have dinner with one person, say you're having your wife's chicken cutlets, you got a little pasta on the side, who would it be and why? And if somebody who's passed away, somebody who's still around, where you guys could just catch up, shoot the shit, talk about anything, who would that person be and why?
I wish I could wish both of my grandfathers be alive right now. If I could have anybody, just so they could see the success. I can share what's been going on the last 10, 15 years of my life. And I just love to see their expression at that dinner table, just kind of showing them what's happened to me and our family in the last several years. That would be the ultimate.
That would be cool. I was going to say, to see what you and your brother have done in your careers have been unbelievable. See the kids and stuff, how they've grown up. I always think about that. To me, that's kind of one of those questions where, and somebody asked me, I said, I'd love to have my dad back and sit down for one more meal. And just, if he knew the job I was doing now, how I travel all over New York, eating food, I'd be looking up there and going, how the freak did you come up with a job?
He'd love it.
Right?
He'd love it. And I'll tell you something, Bill. Your dad, when I was younger, he had a nice impact on me because he knew the game. He saw my excitement about the game. Whenever my father would take me to visit, he would always say something that always sparked my interest. He was cool. He was another guy I wish we could have had around longer so he could have seen these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think he would have been appreciative of all of it.
Absolutely. Well, Marc, man, I got to tell you, that hour went by so quick, man. We have actually been face to face in, like I said, probably 35 plus years, man. And it's
been a while.
It's been a long time, but man, it's been great to catch up. And I gotta say, man, I'm wicked proud of you, man. You've done something that I knew you loved as a kid, and you just excelled at it, man. And you're where you want to be right now. And we're happy for you, man.
I appreciate it, Billy. I really do appreciate it. I came from good parents. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Very blessed. But please, the next time you're ever in Jupiter, Florida, or you're in Auburn, please call. You got a place to stop by for a good meal, and love to catch up with you face to face.
Yeah. We will definitely do that. Absolutely. Guys, I just want to thank our sponsors once again real quick. Out of the Way Cafe in Utica, Matt Grabsky. Thank you so, Matt, for sponsoring the show. Also, Geddes Bakery in Syracuse, New York, the Pappas family. Thank you guys for sponsoring another one of our great shows. Angelo's Pizza in Auburn. Matt, great guy, man. We'll have to catch up soon when I come out to Auburn and visit. And Poppi's Pizza and Sean Powers in Liverpool, another Auburn native. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show. Marc, it's been great, man, and I can't wait to catch up with you. Hopefully we can catch up in Auburn, and like I said, maybe we can sit down and have a good meal together and
love it.
A little bit more. Guys, make sure you tune in next Monday night. We have former Houston Oilers safety, hard-hitting Chris Dishman, who'll be joining us. He'll bring the funk with it, man. He's a great NFL player, a great NFL career. And then we got on Tuesday, we got special night, Lilo Brancato, who played in The Bronx Tale, played in Sopranos, played in Goodfellas. He's going to be joining me. That's going to be a crazy interview. You're going to like that. It'll be fun. So join us next Monday and Tuesday for those great shows. But, guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. If you didn't catch this live, I'm going to post it. You can share it, spread the word on Mark's story. It's a great story. If you didn't hear it live, you'll definitely want to watch it. Danny M said, nice interview. Thanks, Dan, for watching. Coach Marchone, the best to you, Mark. God bless. So thanks, guys, for watching, man, and we'll spread the word. Mark, I'll be in touch. Stay safe, man. Tell everybody.
You too, Billy. I will.
You again.
Thanks for having me, Billy. Take care now.
You guys have a great night. Bill Vincey from No Time for Nonsense. Have a great night.